Yes, the meep. I promise I can help him get home and then you'll never see me again.
You're assuming he as a pronoun.
You have a striking resemblance to Michael Jackson a little bit. Do you
Oh, I
you
get
hear
it
that
again.
often? Do you hear that?
We've got all that power, but there is a way to get rid of it. Something a male-presenting Time Lord will never understand.
Is it just me? Anybody else think so? Yeah.
Welcome back to the channel, everyone. I'm Saladino. There is no way that Russell T Davies or anyone else at the BBC or at Disney, because I guess they're involved now too, there's no way they believe that this pandering, overly woke approach to Doctor Who will be successful. I mean, I know they see the ratings now, but I don't think that they ever thought it was going to be successful. I don't think even from a marketing standpoint, they thought that, we're going to get all the Twitter people and the Tumblr people to get on board with this. Just the free publicity of all the, media shills who like the fact that, this stuff has been forced into male hobbies and male entertainment. I don't think they thought that would be enough people to bolster this show and make it successful. But they're doing it anyway. And at this point, they're not even trying to justify why they're doing any of it. Davies tried with changing Davros's iconic design, where he does that stupid little thing where he has this little smirk on his face when he goes, we had to change it because Davros is a wheelchair user who is evil. And he swings his hand to the side and he knows he's full of it. But he also knows that this is something that will annoy longtime fans. It's not necessary to do this thing where he pretends that there's been this long history of the disabled being portrayed as evil, when that's never been the case. The issue with the disabled people was you're not supposed to say that they're handicapped, and you're not supposed to say that you feel sorry for them. It was never about them being portrayed as evil. He's saying that to troll the fans. I think that's what all of this is, because now look at this. At this point, they've turned the Doctor gay, which to me was obvious. I'm not surprised. I saw it coming because of the actor they picked. It wasn't enough that they failed with turning the Doctor into a woman. Instead of just going back and saying, all right, Doctor's a white guy again, we'll just dance with the one who brung us. Now he has to be a black man. But because they don't like masculine black men, he has to be a gay black man. So that's the thing about feminists, activists, SJWs. They don't like masculine black men. And it's not one of those things where it's like, oh, the power of the BBC or, so to speak. It's not this thing where, the masculine black man is so strong and dominant. That might be a part of it for some of them. But really, it's simply that, and white activists won't say this. White SJWs won't say this. But some black ones will, where they'll say things like, straight black men are the white men of the black community. So mostly, feminists won't say that. They'll just lump them in with, POCs, BIPOC or something. So they won't even really mention black men, straight black men. They'll just sort of ignore them, turn them into Gordon Good brothers. You look at Miles Morales, he's a twink. Miles Morales is a twink. They've gentrified Luke Cage. They've defanged Blade, put all this focus and emphasis on his daughter out of nowhere. They find ways to get around actually portraying masculine black men. Again, it wasn't enough for them just to pick a black doctor. They didn't go to Idris Elba, or Richard Ayoade, what's his name? They didn't go to these guys to play the Doctor. No, they go to this twink. This guy who clearly, this is one of those things. Just look at him, you could tell he's gay. Look how he was dressed. Look at his pictures. This is a learned behavior. You can hire a gay black man who doesn't act this effeminate, like he's going to star in the black reboot of Will and Grace or something. Even the people defending this stuff aren't defending it on the merits anymore. It's not about representation. It isn't about diversity and inclusion anymore. Like, if they wanted to have a time lady, they could have just made Jodie Whittaker a time lady. They didn't have to make her the Doctor. They could have created an original character and then built her up in Doctor Who and then gave her own series. But they didn't want to do that. It's like, Ripper says it, you say it all the time. They only see legitimacy in straight white male characters. They don't want to build up their own. And they don't even want to take existing characters, like black and brown or female characters, and build them up. They just want to take things from the straight white males. Trust me, bro, in my last video, I was getting comments from people who kept telling me that I was right-wing, or that, if you don't like this, just watch something from the Daily Wire or whatever. And it's like, you hear me talking about my issues with what they've done, and you're not actually addressing that. Again, I always say this, you're just mad that I'm complaining or criticizing something that you want to defend just because it exists. You're happy that it exists. You don't care about it either. These people don't care about the Doctor Who as a series. They don't get anything out of it. Like, if this stuff was really popular with, society, the Marvels would be doing gangbusters. They wouldn't have to have ended Jodie Whittaker's run to reboot it with Russell T Davies. If it was so successful, if they cared so much about this stuff, but they don't. And I get people trying to justify that, the reason it wasn't Donna who was talking to the Doctor that way. It was some superpowered being. It's like, look, stupid. In the context of the show, it doesn't matter. Nothing changes the fact that the show is directly telling David Tennant's Doctor that because he's male presenting, he's not smart enough. He's too stupid to understand that he should give up power. And Disparu made this point in a video. He's like, why would the Doctor give up any type of power when he uses that power to protect the universe? Like, what sense does that make to say, just give up the power? Just give it up. SJWs, feminists, they don't want to give up power. They can't even control the power they get. They put Kathleen Kennedy, a woman, in charge of Star Wars, and she destroyed it. It's been happening now, like 343 Industries. The Halo series was destroyed, and a woman was in charge of it. Adding all these female editors in Marvel and DC has destroyed Marvel and DC because these women keep getting involved. The characters, the women can't be attractive. The men can't be strong and masculine. And this obsession that these female editors have with portraying the female characters as physically stronger than the men and better at things that men normally do. They don't even, as women, they don't see women normally being feminine as like a strength or a good quality. It's always about how they want to be ugly. They are ugly. They're built like men, but they're better than men for some reason. It's absurd. And again, they're not even trying to justify it anymore. You look at articles talking about Doctor Who. They did it with the Star Beast episode. They're doing it with this new one. It's called Wild Blue Yonder, where you have a Indian Isaac Newton. And, you have articles saying this is great. They're rubbing the bigots' noses in this. Now, you could have a black Queen Anne Boleyn. And Jodie Turner-Smith is not Jodie Whittaker, right? Jodie Turner-Smith. It's a good-looking woman, actually. But she's not Queen Anne Boleyn. No normal person would hire her to play that part, right? But they do it. And if you hire Martin Freeman to be Martin Luther King Jr., they'd lose their mind. But you can have black Vikings, it's no problem. So, I don't know. And an unintended consequence of all of this, and they don't care because they lump fans who criticize this stuff into one box and everybody else is just cool with it and okay with it. But they're hurting women too, right? That's the thing. I've said this before about how, women like to see attractive women. When they play a video game character, they don't create ugly, fat women to play as. They play the character they want to see, right? And Marvel, when the MCU became the MCU, one of the reasons why it fell off is because women didn't have men to look at. Because despite these sociopaths out there, again, I always say it, women like to see attractive women, and they, especially if they're straight, like to see attractive men. Men find women attractive, and women find men attractive. This is not an aberration. This is not this weird thing where it's not normal or not common. It's the most common thing in the world. But the sociopaths, these weirdos, have flipped it and pretend that actually it's normal and common. I'll say that, common to be gay, in that it's not common to see straight people finding one another attractive. And Clownfish TV makes this great point, which I've sort of made in the past, and I've been meaning to, make more directly. The last time I talked about this, I did it in a comment on a recent Film Threat video, but
I think he's gay. The next guy.
So they're setting this up for that reason.
That's
what's going on?
Yeah, that's what I think.
Is that what this whole thing's about?
Yes, we have to make sure everybody knows the Doctor likes dick. So when they hook the Doctor up with a dude, during the next run.
And they're like, why are our ratings down? Because they said a lot of the reason a lot of women tuned in, there was a lot of the big audiences, was because they wanted to see the cute doctors.
So that was actually a huge driver of viewership for Doctor Who. The love triangle, which I know a lot of classic Who fans hated it because the Doctor was not romantically involved with anybody back in the old show, the classic
But since
Doctor
the
Who.
new ones,
Since the new one, we had Rose and we had River Song, and
do not like River Song. Sorry, I still don't like her.
Kind of, sort of with Amy, but the formula was for the first several years: young, good-looking-ish Doctor, female companion, possible sparks, possible romantic interest. And I remember when they were introducing Jodie Whittaker's Doctor, that somebody from the show, I think it was San Diego Comic-Con, told an audience full of women that they didn't want to be the Doctor's companion. They wanted to be the Doctor. And that's why they were making the Doctor a woman. And there were women in the audience that were like, no, I actually want to travel with the Doctor. That's
I like the Doctor. That's why I want to be with a doctor. You're like, I want to go hang out with him. And
I want
to
play Doctor with the Doctor.
Well, sometimes you just want to go with. I mean, like you like the character, so you wanted to go with him. But you're like, I don't want to go with her. I wanted to go with him.
And I think that's such a funny side effect to all of this, that women who certainly since David Tennant's run as the Doctor, all those women who, fantasized about this manic pixie dream boy sweeping them off their feet and taking them on adventures and having flirtation and sexual tension with them. One of the things I didn't like about Russell T Davies' first run on Doctor Who was how he gave the Doctor that sort of sexual tension with his companions. The Doctor is asexual, right? And I had this conversation years ago with Chris Gore. And I mentioned how I left this comment recently on a video on Film Thread. And it was in reference to this conversation I had years ago when just a regular guy on Twitter. But he's a cool dude, Chris Gore. And I talked to him a couple of times. I'd say something that he found interesting and we talk about it. And Peter Capaldi was announced as a Doctor. And somehow we ended up talking about how Capaldi actually looks and feels like a Doctor, more than Tennant, more than Matt Smith, even more than Eccleston. And I have no problem with any of those guys as the Doctors. I liked all of them. But the thing is, Capaldi looked like John Pertwee or Tom Baker. He looked and felt more like the Doctor. And to have all these women, when they was announced, they were mad that he was old, he was ugly, he wasn't this cute guy like Matt Smith or David Tennant or whatever that they really wanted to fantasize about. They couldn't fantasize about this old man, their grandpa, going on adventures, even though that's really who the Doctor is. He's very old, right? And, that's kind of his attitude, the way he's there's a certain distance he has from a lot of things. Even though he cares about everybody, he wants to save the universe and all that stuff. And he cares about his companions, he cares about Sarah Jane, all that stuff, right? Joe. But it was just that, I'm old. I've seen it all. I've done it all, right? So anyway, it was like these fake geek girls, everything is framed through them now. Everything is seen through their lens. All these like Tumblrites and these Twitterite girls who just read all this dumb fan fiction about the Doctor and Rose or whatever, whoever. And he agreed. We talked about it. It wasn't like we were dumping on women. It was just this aspect, this corner of the fan base that was just so like annoying. And it's like they could get to say how much they didn't like Peter Capaldi and how ugly he was. But, if you're a guy and you say, hey, this actress doesn't look like Lara Croft. Lara Croft is busty and she's got a nice ass and she's fit, she's shaped, blah, blah, blah. She's not shaped like a pencil or whatever. And you're attacked for being sexist and hateful. When it's like, no, I'm telling you, this is not how the character is supposed to look. If we say we don't think this person looks the part and is attractive enough, like I said, we're seen as hateful. Women can say it about something that's not really the point of the actual show. Doctor being cute and handsome and dashing or whatever isn't really the point of Doctor Who. But these women took it over, at least as far as being the loudest voices online. And all of a sudden, it's fine for them to say it and then they get no pushback. So, it's just funny. We get to this point now where no one is being like catered to or served by Doctor Who as a series. You got this black twink who's going to play the Doctor. They've already shown us with Indian Newton what we're going to get Who could possibly care about it at this point?
Absolutely fucking shit. Absolutely shit. You know, it's like a field full of cows on laxatives. Absolutely shit. Absolutely terrible. It's not a joke anymore. It's fucking awful. It's